Welcome back to Minus 16, the tech podcast that you know you look forward to every fortnight. And we are back in full effect. And my God, have we got a lot to talk about. Samsung Unpacked just happened, didn't it, boys? So you can imagine I'm really going to sit back, just sip my coffee and let you guys chat. Pretend I'm not here for the next 25 minutes. I was with Alex at Unpacked in London.
Yes, absolutely.
It was a great day. It was a great day.
I want to hear about your experience. You might think you don't have a lot to talk about here, David, but this was like your first time in an event like that with a foldable as well.
Yeah. And I was watching it real time. Of course, you were messaging us as you were watching it, the event in New York. And I mean, I have got a bit to chip in about. It was a great day. Yeah, really brilliant day. And as we've said before, it's great just to hang out with other creators and get out of our little bubble of sitting alone, isn't it?
It was actually quite a different places. I mean, unfortunately we didn't go to New York this time, but maybe San Jose, who knows? But it was actually different even for the UK, because usually those watch along things, they are done in at Samsung's headquarters in London. So it's kind of a different place, kind of a smaller space with the screens are not that great. Where they did it in London this time is in Tottenham Court Road, and they've got this massive, it's this wall-to-wall screens, right? It was slightly warm in there, but it was awesome. I mean, it was as good as having, I think is the next best thing to being there, really.
It was funny. I was listening to the Verge cast actually, and they were talking about the guys they sent to the event in New York. For a tech company, they apparently rented out a great big metal container, right, in a cargo area. Looked really cool, but of course, all the journalists were saying, "We've got no frigging signal. You've put us in a metal box. We haven't got any." They're all trying to upload to WordPress and socials, and they say, "Why would Samsung?"
It's also London. London is bad. Even if you're in open air, it's just connectivity is not great anywhere in London.
So then, guys, time for me to hand over the baton to you. What did you make it? Was it, Daniel, was it kind of what you were expecting? Was there any surprises? How did they serve up for you?
Zero surprises. I think the event went exactly as we were told it was going to. There was no extra devices announced. Like the S25 Edge got announced at Unpacked in January. I was sitting there waiting the whole time. He's going to announce the trifold. He's going to say the trifold's coming in towards the end of the year. And there was not a mention of it. And for me, like the only reason I was messaging you is because I really just wanted to stay awake, because I was finding it struggling to keep myself entertained for that entire hour and a bit that the whole event was on. It was a bit of a drag. I think they focused on some of the wrong things with the phone. They kept talking about Gemini and the partnership with Google, and focused a lot about AI, but there's just so many other things that they could have spoken about, and they probably could have had the whole event done within 30 to 45 minutes, and everyone still would have been happy. But I think, nothing that we weren't expecting.
Alex turned to me during the event, and it's the same when I watch any Apple events. And Alex, he said to me, "Why is it so long? They could have done this," as Daniel said. They could have cut it tighter, and and everyone's sitting there just wanting to get hands on, and they just find.
It's
and I think
it must be some sort of I don't know. I don't want to speak out of turn, but it could be just a cultural thing, to show that they've done the work and to kind of keep re-emphasizing that they've done it. That they ticked all the boxes in. And I've seen that in it's not just Samsung. I mean, every launch I go to, there's a half an hour where you digest the first information, and they could have finished that in half an hour. And then let us enjoy the devices, the hands-on experience, whatever it is that they've got at the events. But no, they then go back and or just drag something for too long, like security, right? They talked about for way too long. But then even after the live event was done, right, in New York, we had then someone come in from the UK leadership and give us another 10, 15 minute spiel on what we just watched. And it's like,
of course, that's right. Yeah,
we were here, we didn't just turn up. So
yeah, you're probably right about the proud part, and the culture thing. I think they like to show how they got somewhere, and sometimes they think they need to show more than what they do. It's whatever. I'll tell you what was cool though. Parker Burton being on stage,
that is
presenting
awesome,
live, and Unpacked, like a YouTuber, a peer, I guess you could say, and he's up there presenting.
He was awesome as well. He presented really well.
He was really good.
And he brought the event to a more, like, not approachable, it's not the right word, but more kind of relatable crowd, right? Because I mean, he's on short form content mostly. I don't think he's done any long form videos.
He dabbles, but not a lot.
Yeah, and he's the face of like quick tips and tricks and stuff like that for Samsung, and he's awesome, and he's a good indication for what we do, right? That people are actually paying attention. It's quite nice.
Relevant. We're relevant in the space that one of us is representing us on the stage at a global event. Like it absolutely makes us relevant.
When you were working at Samsung, did you ever go to Korea?
I went to Korea once, but it wasn't for like any sort of, well, it was a work thing. I won an incentive trip. I hobbled over the line, but I got there, and I think there was like 3 or 4 days. We went to the campus, the digital city they call it, where it's literally an entire city that's just Samsung. Like it is Samsung's head office, campuses, people live on site. Like it is mental. You get stickers to put over your cameras when you go into certain areas. Like they have software when you go through the certain areas, it locks down your phone. You can't turn your phone call, voice recorder, cameras on at all because it's just the privacy and stuff that's there. So
yes,
I did.
You hobbled over the other line, the borderline.
We did go to the DMZ actually. They did take us to the DMZ, and we got to see into North Korea from our binoculars. But that was about as close as we got. Yes, I have been to Korea.
So back to the event then. The Fold, I guess, was the star of the show. Alex, you're using it now as your daily?
Yeah, I have lots of thoughts. I've already recorded a lot of clips. I mean, you were there helping me out with some clips, like a first impression thing. We did a street unboxing, I think we can call it, right?
I think we can call it a street unboxing, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it will make it to the video, but I have been going out and testing it and using it.
Mate, the amount I'm about to bill you, I'd use it, because honestly, that day didn't come cheap. I'd use everything that I shot, you
know. I'd say that there's definitely things that they could have done better, but I also understand why that wasn't the case, right? So the main one that people will be asking straight away is the S Pen. In fact, even my embargo video, the number one question was, I'm not getting one because of the S Pen, or I'm not upgrading my 5 or 4 or whatever because of the S Pen. So it's definitely a sore issue. Whether Samsung will deal with it, I read somewhere that they talked about whether or not they will ever bring it back. And I don't know what that is. Maybe you can shed some light on that, Daniel. But as of now, I mean, I haven't missed the S Pen because if I'm really honest, I haven't used it that much on the 6 either. I have used a lot on the 5 for whatever reason, but I haven't really. I don't know what it was with the 6, and I haven't used it as much as I wanted to. But yeah, so far for me, it's not an issue. But I know people, buy the Fold sometimes. These are people who are accustomed to using PDAs back in the day, right? They're not just coming from a Fold device. They're coming from the fact that they can write on it. So those guys, I definitely feel like, yeah, they'll definitely not be getting or be right not to get one. But, Samsung is kind of trying to listen, right? I think they are looking at the market and the consumers and going, you want a thinner device, you want a lighter device, that you can fold. And we've got to compete with these guys, right? This is Honor's one.
We got to talk about how they lied about their thickness, by the way, at some point.
Yeah, someone commented about that.
Honor.
When I say, someone comment, when I say someone, it's like there's been about 10 comments on my short video I did about this, because I can't talk about the software or show anything software related.
Said that last pod, yeah. Still,
not until the end of August. So don't get me started on it. But yeah, I'd love to know what is behind the thinness of it, because everyone's saying they're lying. I don't know. Is the honest answer.
Yeah, we'll get onto that a bit later. We'll just talk about the Fold first.
So the Folds, what were the big new upgrades this year's Fold over last year's in?
200 megapixel main camera is probably the same camera that's on the S25 Ultra.
S25,
is probably
yeah.
And it shows it's awesome.
And it's so good for rear camera stuff. So with the Fold, you've got the chance, launch the camera on the.
But vlogging is awesome, yeah.
Oh, because you can do this, right?
Of course, yeah.
Press the button properly. You've probably seen it now, where you can do this, right? Have the rear cameras and then have the preview over there. and having that main camera be a lot better. Beautiful for video. You got log video on there too, which even adds to that even more.
30 and 60 FPS.
Yep. Yeah, and
Awesome.
8K as well with log, so that's also part of it. It's thinner, it's lighter. Like I would say that I often forget that I'm carrying a folding phone. Like when I'm using it in my hand, because of the cover screen being so much more, like I guess smartphone.
Really? Yeah.
You forget. You're like, this is that's right. This is a folding phone because it's
You know
lighter than the S25 Ultra and almost as thick as or thin as it.
Yeah. And I know people will say, "Oh, these guys are in Samsung's pocket," right? As they call it. So be it. You know, my experience has been. I actually realized as I was filming outside the other day, and I've tried this with Fold 5 and 6, and you could actually kind of do it, but there are things you can do from an accessories perspective now that it's just amazing. Like using a gimbal with a Fold, which is not really. I mean, gimbals usually for smartphones can only support slab phones. You know, because folds usually are heavier and clunkier. And you could actually, if you balanced it right, or just about you didn't move it in a weird way, you could actually do it with the previous folds. But now it's just like the gimbal doesn't care because it's sometimes lighter than a iPhone or an older S24 or whatever.
I mean, to your point, and for the detractors out there listening, saying that we're in Samsung's pocket, here was me at a Samsung event, and I held the devices, and both the Edge and the Fold, and they felt flip. Sorry, yeah. They felt absolutely gorgeous, absolutely stunning. You know, they were well engineered.
You mean the Edge as well? Yeah, someone had the Edge there as well, right?
Yeah, and they did feel. I mean, certainly the Fold, when I held it, as Daniel just said, you kind of think that's just a regular phone. That that doesn't feel like it's a folded up chunky boy. It just feels like a phone, and the whole mechanics of it and the style of it, it did feel really, really premium. I love the look of it.
Well,
I guess sorry, go on.
So I've been quietly amassing every single Fold, right? I've got them here.
That's where your AdSense money's going.
Yep. And I'm going to make an entire video comparing all of them, but just to sort of see where they started with this sort of tiny Fold cover screen and then the corner notch that they had at the top here to this. Like so that is a crazy.
Yeah, look at the size. Yeah.
6 years it's taken them to get from over here to over here. And the original Fold was it was basically a concept phone that they sold. But yeah, like I'm curious to know, like you going to the event, David, what was your feelings? Were you like, I shouldn't be here?
I felt slightly dirty when I got my iPhone out sitting in the crowd. I got to admit, I was sitting there almost keeping it between my lap. It felt weird, but I knew I was really there with Alex. But it was super interesting to see how Samsung prepared an event, how they dealt with it all. I mean, the hospitality there was brilliant. Everyone around was super friendly. Yeah. And
here's
you introduced me to that friend of yours as well, didn't you? That was kind of Daniel's role over here. Brilliant guy.
Yeah, so Alex is a trainer at Samsung. He's in all my Fold videos. He makes an appearance. He's like a tradition now. But so shout out to Alex if he's listening. But
he did subscribe while I was there. He hit subscribe on our pod. So
yeah, he's awesome. The thing I was going to say is, if you imagine even other brands, not necessarily Apple, right? But if you imagine the fact that we were able to talk to. I mean, I approached, Samsung execs while I was there, talked to them, said hello. They remember me from a year ago. I think met them at IFA Berlin. It's not the sort of thing that you see with other brands. But we accidentally entered a security back room there way before anyone was allowed in.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things like, but they were chill, right? They were like
everything about the day. It was really well run. It was fascinating doing the live watch from New York. Obviously, some of the numbers and facts didn't necessarily resonate with me because I didn't have a comparison. I didn't know what we were coming from and to. So some of the benchmarks weren't necessarily as important to me. But it's when I actually got to hold the devices and look at them for myself. And it was like, wow, okay, yeah, now I can see kind of where the benchmark is and how premium they felt. I think that was the thing that really blew me away. And obviously I don't get to use them day on day, but they did feel like they were something A, I'd like to own, and B, I think would last a test of time.
The other thing is the flip, right? I mean, it's definitely not my jam. I mean, I tried the Flip 5, I think, and it just wasn't for me. But even then, I realized that I can see the appeal for it. Now, at the hands-on event, which happened, I think, a week before the Unpacked, or a few days or whatever, I got to see the Motorola Razr, the latest one, which was supposed to, I mean, up until now, has been a more refined device because they use the front screen a bit better. But now Samsung not just caught up, right? The edge on the border, what do you call them? The bezels on the Flip are way better. I mean, not just a little bit better. It's like night and day in comparison to Motorola. So Samsung in that form factor have now. I haven't seen Mr. Mobile's video yet because he's gonna be the, because
He loves the
I
Flip.
think he uses the Motorola a lot, and he's always complaining about the front screen of the. So I wonder what he thinks about the new Flip.
Well, as you know, I had that Flip and I've sold it to a friend and she wouldn't be without it. She absolutely loves it. And it's perfect for the kind of way she wants to take, little vlog videos and stuff because of that inbuilt tripod. She wouldn't be without it.
That handycam mode is so cool. The way that it allows you to use a phone like a handycam, like back in the day.
That's next month's ad. That's next month's AdSense already spent.
Similar to the Fold video, I've got every single Flip as well.
I wonder I'm trying to think what his content's going to be over the next 3 or 4 weeks. Alex, any idea? I'm struggling.
I ransacked eBay for every single.
Battery life, because I've been looking at the leaked rumors coming up for the iPhone Air in September, which seems like a shoo-in now. It seems like it's going to happen. How are you finding the battery life on the on the Folds first of all? Is the battery life on those good?
I'd say it's good.
So far, so good.
Yeah, I'd say it's good.
So not ultra level.
Not ultra. Well, I think I've got a bit of a bug on mine with YouTube where it's draining on YouTube a bit quicker. When I'm not using YouTube and I'm just using everything else, it's fine. But YouTube.
Are yours review devices or devices that you bought? Are they ones that been?
I have a review device that I'm kind of just using for thumbnails because of the blue color, and then I have one that I'm keep. So this is a final retail version. This is a review sample. But they're the same hardware. Nothing's different about them. Same software as well.
And of course, you've been using the Edge for a lot this year as well, haven't you, Daniel?
Yeah.
And how are you finding the battery life? Because there's some worrying stories about iPhone's battery that's coming out. Yeah.
Superb. Yeah. The battery life on the Edge has been nothing short of sensational. So very surprisingly so. Like I was very, very surprised because it's 3,900 milliamp hours seemed small for Samsung's world, but it was completely fine. I think there was a story about the density of the battery being bigger. And if they went to silicon carbon, they could only add an extra 200 milliamp hours. And it just wasn't worth that trade-off for battery longevity for that extra 200.
5 mil thick, right? It's 5 mil thin.
5.8. 5.8.
Yeah, so it's super thin. Because I mean, the worrying news for the iPhone Air is it's only got 2,800 milliamp hour battery in, and it seems their answer is to sell a battery pack, which I'll come on to that later on. But this is kind of where I'm getting a little.
I think to be fair to Apple, right? I mean, unless things change drastically, whatever they do at software level for battery management is amazing. I mean, and sometimes you can think that maybe they're tricking you to think that is to make it that good, but I don't know. My experience with batteries on iPhones have always been fantastic, especially when you get to the last like 15-20%.
That's where it does hold on. Yeah,
it's superb when you compare to. I mean, the kind of the other side of that story is Xiaomi this year. When it gets to 20%, you just run for a charger because it's gonna die. And I've actually, to be fair to Xiaomi, they got me to on the phone with their team to talk about it directly, and we're kind of trying to kind of troubleshoot it, and it is unusual even for them. And I may have discovered something that they don't know yet about. So yeah, there's that extreme. But when it comes to Apple, I think I suspect that even the Air will be a little bit like the Samsung version. There'll be some crazy battery management in there to cater for the fact that it's.
There have been rumors already put out saying that we don't expect it to get through a day, and that's apparently leaked from Apple. internals. It was kind of worrying, but I say we'll get to that in a minute. Talking of battery life, though, recently, of course, the day I was with you, and then Monday this week I was in London. I was out for sort of both those days. I'm guessing 13, 14 hours, something like that. And the battery, I got through the day, and that was doing general kind of town stuff, maps,
That's
music,
16 Pro
videos.
Max, right?
Yeah. And I was okay. I got back with about 20% on, which I thought was that's reasonable.
I think the S25 Ultra is similar. I struggled with the S24 Ultra. If I did that with the S24 Ultra, by 8 p.m. sometimes I'd be dead. If I did like 4K videos, let's say 15 clips, 20 clips of 4K videos during the day, and regular work, commuting stuff, maybe about an hour of using maps and navigation stuff. Yeah, that would not get me. The S24 Ultra would not get me to like 9 p.m.
And I know Alex is using the folders the daily. What are you on now? You're still two phoning, are you, Daniel?
Fold 7's my main, and S25 Edge is my second SIM. Yeah, I switched from the Ultra.
Right. So
switched
both
from
of you switched
Ultra
from the
to the Fold. Yeah,
I still have the Ultra as now my almost. I mean, it's kind of slowly migrating services from that to the Fold. But yeah, my banking apps are now on the Fold. It's just like authenticators and stuff. It's they're slightly complicated to move. But as soon as I get like an hour free, I'll move it.
But oh boy, sorry, I was just going to say, oh boy, are authenticators important? Cue for a conversation we're going to be having later.
Yes.
But so why have you guys both moved from the Ultra to the Fold 7? What is it? What's so special about the Fold 7?
Well, I normally do this every
toy.
year. Yeah, shiny toys, STS. But every year, right back from when I worked at Samsung, the S series would be my first half of the year phone, and then I'd use the Note for the second half. I'd always have the main phone that's just come out as my main phone for that time period until the next launch, and I've just stuck with that habit. So S series is still now my main phone for 6 months from January to now, and then from now until the next S, it'll be the Fold. That's just, and then the second phone, because I've always had two phones, the second phone I'll rotate through. At the moment it's the Edge. It will be the Flip probably in a couple of weeks when the Flip comes out, because I'll have to use that for a bit, and then that it'll probably go back to the Edge before the start of next year, or maybe the Ultra before the start of the S26, and then cycle repeats itself. But I think the Fold is just this, I think Alex will attest to it, right? Like you just feel like you can do more with it, especially when you
100%.
know that you've got that open screen on the inside, responding to emails, writing down video ideas, multitasking. Like just this afternoon, I used 3 apps at once that I needed to organize emails and registration forms and stuff. And it was just
every hour of every day. I mean, I'll rant about it though, because there's something that annoys me a lot about what they've done here. It's not enough for me to kind of not use it. But on the positive side, what Daniel just said, I mean, I know sometimes we post like an example of it on Twitter and people go, oh my gosh, I would never do this. Why would I want to do that on my iPhone? It's not until you actually in a real situation. Yesterday was a good one. I was using Obsidian, which is my script writing tool. And I was outside trying to record and look at, asking Google something. Easy. Naturally, you just go, right, half screen. And then without, copy and paste, it's so easy to just use 2 apps at the same time. And then you go, all right, maybe, sometimes we go, oh, what's the worst case scenario? And then we post about our YouTube and Instagram at the same time. It's like, okay, that's less relevant. But responding to comments and having a window open with the script or some research that you're doing, whatever it is, banking, right? Someone sends you a payment details through WhatsApp, banking app next to it, boom, no need to be closing the app and whatever. Some apps though, like even Instagram on the Fold doesn't behave as well as it does on the S25 Ultra. I've got to say, I mean, not so much browsing is fine, but when you're trying to post to Instagram on the Fold, there's some weird stuff going on with the zooming in and out, and especially if you start on the cover screen and then you open to finish it, it messes things up a bit. There are other apps as well, like that they don't make the most of the fact that you can do this, right? You can use it half open and use the bottom part. So YouTube does it. But if you look at BBC iPlayer for us here in the UK, I'm guessing Amazon Prime, any other apps that could do this would be awesome. So there's some.
There is a way to force that. Samsung got that flex mode panel toggle that you can
Yeah.
press, and then it automatically shifts the top half and turns the bottom half into control. But yeah, you do wish it would be native support, that the apps would build it, and they probably will when Apple does it.
Well,
that
yes and no. I mean, look at iPad apps. Developers still haven't got into making
That's true.
apps correct for iPad after all these years. So because that's down on the devs, isn't it? They've got to buy into the fact that
Absolutely,
people are using foldables now.
Yeah, and I think until that's a sad thing, right? Until Apple does it, we might not see like heavy development into apps to cater for this form factor. At the moment, you can force it through Samsung Labs still, right? It's still a feature that you got to know where to go to download.
It's in the advanced. It's in the advanced features section, flex mode panel, and then you got to toggle on per app
to force it.
To force it, yeah. Or there's a button that pops up when you do flex it. There's a button in the bottom right corner that you can press, and then it'll make it go flex mode panel. But yeah, you still it's not as seamless as it is like just working natively like YouTube does.
Yeah, with YouTube, the minute you go into this flex mode, YouTube. All right, I know you're using a Fold. Here's the controls at the bottom, and it's so nice. I mean, to have that. The rant I have, and I won't spend too much more time on the Fold, but there is something that I've got to mention, which is we've got 3 cameras at the back, and the main camera is amazing. And then we've got the inner screen camera, which is also pretty good. So the first rant is a massive hole that we now have. It's like, It's not as bad as the dynamic island, but it's, once you've seen it, it's like, it's impossible to not see it. It's there all the time. Annoyingly, it's not centered with anything. So when you twist the fold to, like that, from that to this, to watch something, it's even more visible because it becomes like, it's not centered. So that's the first rant. I wish it wasn't there. I wish it was under the display. And this will sound controversial because I know people who use that camera for conference calls and whatever. I'd remove it in favor of having a better telephoto lens, because I tried the telephoto. I don't know if you tried many shots with this, Daniel, but in my experience is almost a 2021, 2022 quality.
It is it's a 2022 quality camera, 100%.
It's awful. I mean, awful for a 2025 $2,000 device. It's not awful for posting online or whatever. It's fine. But when you're paying that much money, I think, I don't know. It's not the Fold's main thing to have a zoom lens. But I think once you've gone to the trouble of making it thinner, removing some stuff to do, it's like, okay, they should have compensated a little bit for that better. Like, even if you know, just like 3 or 5x, I don't care. It's just like, it doesn't need to be super, but it needed to be a little bit sharper, a little bit. I mean, it's not great for zoom.
Oh, it's noticeable not having the 5 times camera from the Ultra. Like, like this afternoon, it was at my daughter's football presentation. She got a medal and stuff. And because of the fact I couldn't stand close, I was like, I can't use the zoom here. Like, it's just not going to be good enough to take a good enough shot. I totally feel it, but I think there's like a small niche that would service, because the majority of people buying Folds are looking for the productivity, and the camera is secondary. So I get that there's people that don't care about it, but man, yes.
So we'll talk about Honor a little bit, because what they've done is slightly different, and I haven't compared them, but just having used them for a couple of weeks, and even the Oppo, I think what they do with AI, which is why I'm thinking, why isn't Samsung like doubling down on their Galaxy AI to improve the 200 megapixel? Because it's like, maybe remove the zoom lens altogether.
Like the Edge. Like the Edge just had the dual camera. Perfect.
And use AI on the 200 megapixel sensor to crop in. And I think that's what Honor does, not even with the Foldable, as well. They do that also with the with their main flagship phone, the Magic V7, I think it is. So yeah, it's a shame, because it's almost unusable for content creation. I'd say it's no good.
I do remember when the S20 Ultra came out, Samsung telling us that at the longer zoom ranges, so like 50 plus, they used information from the 108 megapixel camera, with the 4 times telephoto at the time. They used to combine it together. So I think there probably is some sort of stuff like that going on, but it might not be at 3 times. It'll probably be at like 10 times and beyond that they're gathering information from the higher res sensor. Whereas I agree with you. Cut that 3 times sensor out and just use the 200 megapixel at that 1 to 5 and you've got a great camera.
Honestly, and sometimes it's not even, I don't want to see like that far away, right? For me to use this as a main phone, there are situations. I mean, there was a bird the other day. I was walking the dog and I saw a bird and I was like 20 feet away. Easy with the S25 Ultra to snap that. It was fine to focus. It was fine to frame it, but the result was like massively pixelated and not usable even on social media.
You just touched on one point there, Dan. I wonder if there's any kind of pushback on it. The price, the $2,000, £2,000 price. Is anyone? I mean, I know essentially you could say we're getting 2 phones, which is part of the argument. But I mean, it is a chuffing load of money, right?
There's 2 parts to this answer that I want to give. The first is, I think in the pre-order period, especially in the US and partially the UK, the trade-in deals that Samsung offer make the price less of a problem because people could trade in their older phone and then pay, I don't know, between £500 to £1,000 and get the Fold 7. And that kind of eases the burden of upgrading a little bit. And there's pre-order offers, like in Australia, there's a double storage offer. If you order the 256, you get upgraded to the 512. If you order the 512, you get upgraded to 1 terabyte. So there is some people complaining about the price, but the funny part, the second part is that on Twitter this week, I put up a couple of posts about, like Alex was saying, oh, who wants that multitasking? I said, your iPhone can't do this. It was a bit of tongue in cheek. It was a bit cheeky. I knew what I was doing. I saw RJ
engagement farming.
Yeah, I saw RJ doing it. And I'm like, I can get a piece of this, and it worked. And the comments were flooded with Apple users saying, I'm not paying $2,000 for that. And the funny part for me, and it wasn't necessarily the same people that were saying it, but I remember the old adage is that if you have an Android, you're poor. You can't afford an iPhone. And it's just funny to see that narrative change, that iPhone users were then saying, oh, that's too expensive for a phone. I'd rather a phone and an iPad. And I'm like, it's not technically expensive when you consider what it does. Like if you go back to the first ever cell phone, what was it? How much were they? Like $3,000 or $4,000 back in like the early 90s. When you consider what that did, nothing, versus what this does and what this can replace, I'm like, that price over the lifespan of the phone, 7-8 years, whatever you might want to own it, you can break that down and you could probably figure out that you'll get that back in how you can be extra productive.
I think that's a great. I was actually going to mention that because if you look at it as something that you would buy every year, it's absolutely like you wouldn't do it. It's just not attainable. Some people do, but it's going to be the minority. I think when you consider longevity and durability and all of that, then it makes a lot of sense. And it is expensive. The other thing is, and which is why kind of holding on to it makes a lot more sense. For the last 3 years, I regretted every single one of them. I sold my Fold 4, I think for £800, having paid $1,300. Sold the Fold 5 for about $750, $800 as well. And the Fold 6 struggled to make $800 as well. It's like, so you're kind of losing half the money within a year. In some cases, less than a year, in terms of, a resale value. So yeah, it definitely is a device that you'd buy and keep for at least 3 years, because otherwise you won't make financial sense. Yeah.
And to those Apple users that are on your thread, Daniel, saying that's a lot, I guarantee you, in a year's time, they will be springing a couple of $1,000s. It's just the nature of the beast,
right?
Yeah. I mean, it's
an Apple Foldable would be awesome, but it would be also like
$2,500
ridiculous.
Of which kind of brings me to a point I just wanted to chime in and say. I mean, I think it's well known that I love my devices. I love the Apple ecosystem. I love what I get to talk about. That's all given. But I am really worried about the state of Apple at the moment. I wrote a piece this week and it kind of resonated with me. I said, the reason the Mac Mini was so well received is because it was
good value.
New. Yeah, value and new. Everything, the design, the internals, how you could use it, the Thunderbolt 5s, new. That was Apple at their best. What we're seeing so much of Apple now is sitting on their laurels and kind of doing minor iterative improvements on what is a decent and good device, but they're not responding to what people want. They're not
on the
moving
iPhone,
forward.
yes. On the iPad, I think they finally did something this year that I reckon it's one of those things about why can't you just copy and paste that behavior, that approach to the iPhone, because it's so obvious. That's I've been criticizing the iPad for at least 4 years. Because up until then it was actually fine because they didn't overpromised. But since the M chip, it's been an overpromised and under-delivered device. Like, why put that M chip in there if you can't do anything special with it? And then his stage manager's like that just threw me like, oh my god, are you serious? But this version of windowed apps, whatever, it's like, just copy Dex, which is what they kind of done. But they made it in an Apple way. They made it better from a UX perspective. Whether or not it's more functional, we'll find out. I'm testing that at the moment. But I think that is a good example where they could have done this in 2021.
Yeah,
and with the iPhone, if they bring, say, windowed apps to the iPhone, just as it's not going to happen. But just imagine, right? Having something that, okay, it's the same old software, same old pretty much hardware. I mean, when you look at the photos of the new iPhone, the 17, so it's so uninspiring. I'm kind of clutching at straws and trying to make content about it and say it's going to be exciting. It isn't really, because it feels the same. It doesn't really. And even the iOS glass, whatever, right? It's so samey. So yeah, I agree with you. I think it needs to bring that aspect of something new, something different. Kind of just to finish that point, kind of hoping that whatever they're doing at the back of the phone with that new
glass
squarey bit there, I'm thinking maybe they're not telling us something, because why would they do that if there's no extra functionality? So I'm hoping that they will do something special that we haven't been told yet, or that extra module size of the camera also have something there that it's, we haven't been told yet. Because if the rumors and leaks are to be true, again, it's just a cosmetic change.
On the 17s, there's I was going through the latest notes yesterday, and there's really nothing. There's the glass on the back, an aluminium frame rather than titanium.
8K video, a possibility,
8K video,
right?
But again, yes, and I'm glad they're listening. I'm glad they're bringing that to that. And Daniel, I know I can hear you saying we've got 8K video for years. I can jump in and save you the vowels and consonants on that one.
I'd say usable 8K video since 2023. We've had 8K videos on the S21 Ultra, I believe.
S20. The fact is that, Apple still holds this. Apple still holds this aura of being the benchmark. And even Dan, you title a lot of videos, iPhone users can't do this, because it's still that benchmark that the public kind of understand. And yet Apple are just sitting back on their laurels too much of where they were once, cutting edge, brilliant, fresh, innovative. And the thing is, you look around, so many creatives still turn to iPhone and Apple. If you look at some of the people out there, Tyler Storm, Peter McKinnon, Peter Lindgren, Matty Hypaya, Pete McKinnon, everybody, all iPhone users. And that's for a reason, because they like what they're getting out of their devices. But Apple need to look at what's going on around them. When I was at Samsung and saw and felt that edge, and okay, I haven't touched the Air yet, but when I felt that and felt the engineering that went into that Fold, it just made me realize that what I'm using just felt quite dated. And it's sad, because I love what it does. I love how it performs and what it gives me, but the styling, the detail, the attention to listening to what we want just isn't there at the moment. And that worries me. And where's that coming from? Is that pure arrogance that they can just trade on 15 years of being market leaders? Or is it coming from the top? And I now see there are beginning rumors. Is it time for Cook to go? I'm not saying it's all on him. And I got pasted in a story that I wrote on Medium a few months back when I said that Tim's just too old for the job, and they were going about all these other world leaders that are 60 plus. I said, fine, but we all have our day in the sun. We are all brilliant at some point, and then you're just not as hungry, right? And if you're not hungry at the top, you need that energy. You need somebody to be pushing and leading. I just want them to be what they were.
Before I comment on this, I think chat clip that. That's a great. I didn't have to say anything there. Usually rant, I'm the one that was like, okay, we got to clip this one. But there's a third element as well, which I think you probably touched a little bit there, but it's to do with the fact that they've done such a good job on relying on the market, and I would add marketing to that, because at the end of the day, the consumer still thinks whatever they might look at the Fold, they might look, oh my god, that's fancy and amazing, but their friends will still have iMessage, and their friends are still like have that stigma that is an Android phone and therefore is not safe or is cheap or whatever, even though clearly, it's leaps and bounds ahead of what Apple offers today. Which is sad. I want to see Apple do well. I want to see Apple come up with something that is, challenging. Not just a logo on something that feels premium, is premium, but it's more kind of because of it's got that status attached to it rather than actual value.
I
Yes,
am
Daniel.
going to do something here that you probably won't expect, but I'm going to be defending Apple for this
Another
whole
clip coming up. Hold on, this is just fodder. This is heaven sent.
We're running out of clips.
I think Apple are very unique in the sense that they are a company kind of like the way Google, like you just Google it. Like the iPhone isn't just, oh, it's a phone. You say, oh, get your iPhone out. Or I've got my iPhone here, or I've got an iPhone app. No one says, oh, get your phone app or a smartphone app. It's like it transcends culture, and it's like pop culture. An iPhone is pop culture.
And the corporate world too, right? Corporates.
Yep. And in schools, like they've got education deals with schools where iPads are the premier tablet in every single school. Like, and all the apps that they use in those schools can only run on iPad. So even if you were to go and get a Samsung tablet and bring it to the school, you can't use it because the app doesn't run. So they've got this stranglehold over so many important consumer areas that for them, their priority isn't to innovate hardware anymore. Or it's not to innovate the space that they normally would be and become leaders in that anymore, because in consumers' minds, they are the only brand that exists. Like, you will find it shocking how many people still haven't heard of the Fold. It's been around for 6 years, and you will walk down the street and you could use it in front of someone and they were like, what's that? And they will never have seen it or heard of it or
Especially
even understand
in America,
it.
yeah.
Like, there are people in Australia and probably in the world that call the Samsung tablets the Samsung iPad. That is the level of conditioning that Apple have over the consumers. So there's no real need for Apple to be out there jumping far ahead of everyone when it comes to hardware, because it's a risk. And they showed that was true with the Vision Pro. That was a huge risk hardware-wise.
Too far with that one.
Just throw that out there. And the public were like, oh, we don't want this. And they had to reclude back from it. There's been almost no mention of Vision OS and Vision Pro since it pretty much came out, because the response to it was just, people don't expect that anymore. They just expect safe and comfortable and reliable, and they don't need to do anything more than that. And there's really no need for them to push the boundaries anymore. And whilst you as a tech fan, as an Apple fan, will be like, yep, I am upset, I'm frustrated, and there's probably a minority in that same subset of people that are like you that feel the same, they will switch. But just as much as there's people switching away from Apple, there's a new subset of people being born that are going to school that will be growing up on Apple products their entire life, and Apple have captured them from the beginning. So it's almost impossible. It's almost impossible for them to switch that mindset now, because they just are so widespread in pop culture that they don't really need to innovate to the level that they used to.
Pop culture is huge on Apple. I mean, every music video, movie, it's Apple everywhere.
Yeah, and I mean, part of what you just said there, Dan, was very true. When you've got the hand-me-downs going on, so Dad's got the old iPhone 13, 14, that's going to be passed down to his kid, the 13-year-old kid, then that'll go down to the 6-year-old, whatever. So and then suddenly all their photos are in iCloud, and suddenly all their apps are iPhone apps, and their subscriptions are to Apple. So yes, they have got a grip around you.
That's the other point, right? Is that I've got a MacBook Pro now, and immediately once you're in that Apple world, you start to think, well, what links with this? And because everything links with it, then you get everything and you're stuck. I had a mate who's just pre-ordered a Fold 7 who has got MacBook Pro, AirPods, iCloud. He's got everything, iPad, everything Apple. And he's just wants to go back to Android and to Samsung because he likes that experience more on the Fold. But he's now got to move everything away from what he's built. And he goes, it's going to be an ache. I've got to get a new watch because the Apple Watch I have is useless now. So he's got to go and switch everything across. And that's why a lot of people don't do it. They know maybe it's better on the other side, but it's just too hard.
The Apple Watch
And
is the worst, yeah, because it won't sync to anything else. Yeah.
At
But
least
same
AirPods
goes for
you can
Samsung,
kind of
right?
connect. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's only Samsung with Apple. If you switch from a Samsung phone to a Google, you can still carry your watch across. It's just that Apple lock that you can't get in on, which they used to, but then they don't. That's another story.
Yeah.
And the points you made about, it's the legacy and the almost laziness, I've had it, so I'll always carry on having it, is very true. But equally, I think there's a point that the bank will begin to run dry, that if Apple don't begin doing something new, you can only trade. Other great companies have faltered, car companies have faltered, thinking, oh, because we're such and such, we can get. No, the public eventually will make a stance and people will begin to see Folds or Ultras and think, I'll give it a go. And then they get hands on it and it's good.
When it's marginally better, when it's a tiny bit better, they probably won't. But when it starts to become, like you're saying, like it's leaps and bounds above the iPhone,
well, that's
people
what
will start questioning,
Samsung.
like, hang on, this is so much cooler to have. Yeah.
Samsung had actually clearly listened to what people wanted and they've reacted to that. And that's okay. We finally got a really meaningful OS update, which I'm looking forward to the public betas landing in the next couple of days and starting to use. Yes, they have gone a long way this year. Like, clearly, after the debacle of last year's WWDC, Apple did do a little bit of listening. But it's quite clear when that was the takeaway I had. I think, Dan, you said right at the beginning of the pod, what did I feel when I was there? I just felt we are caught in a dangerous time warp at the moment where there's nothing exciting to really look forward to. And yeah, of course, I'm looking forward to September. I want to see what the Air looks like. The 17 Pro Max, yeah, but if what I'm reading is happening, 8K is
then there's got to be something when I'm being told, like, because otherwise it's just too samey.
Well,
but I agree. I mean, just looking at that,
I'm guessing.
Yeah, but you're right. I mean, at that event, the moment you realize that you are in a different place is like when the Fold was announced and they showed that 15, 20-second clip of the Fold going through this very thin, like that was very Apple-like. I mean, it felt like exciting. It's like, here comes something different. And to be fair, we haven't really seen that from Samsung in recent years too much. But
fair enough. They raised their game. That's again my point proven. They raised their game.
Even the event itself felt more professional than if you go back to Samsung Unpacked from 4 or 5 years ago. It wasn't that sleek, I don't think.
No, it was fascinating to be there. And I think going back on the train that night, that's kind of what I was thinking. Just we, as in, the Apple camp, have got a little bit of looking over our shoulders and a little bit of catch up to play. There's other boys on the block now that are actually leading the way, whereas we're still just giving us solid devices that will do their job, be really functional. Everything I could want them to do, they do. But there's just that, the reason that there used to be queues snaking around the corner on iPhone Day was because it was exciting. And I went up to London last year. There was maybe 20 people wait. And that was such a sad reflection on where we're currently at with them.
Yeah. And I know it's kind of tiny in comparison to the market that even Samsung and Apple have. But when you look at players like Xiaomi, Honor, Oppo, Vivo, they are growing. I mean, if you look at their numbers, they're growing like 2-3%. But in comparison to the growth that we see with Apple and Samsung, it's huge. So even though in number of devices sold isn't like a lot,
if you look
for them as a company, year on year, they are actually growing. So I think eventually, they will start, not just Apple, but Samsung as well will need to start. Clearly, they are already Samsung, but they need to keep an eye because these guys, I think, because they're smaller, they're less afraid to, to take risks, and some of them are paying off. So
there you go. Peel back the layer. See, I'm not a shill. I do feel. I have a heart. I know what's going on. And a lot's been going on in my head. And I just knew we had this podcast coming out. I just thought I just want to take 5 to say, look, I love what I've got to get to use. If somebody gave me a Fold to use, I'd be really interested to try it. Absolutely, I would. It looked fantastic. That's not to say I'm ever going to do that iPhone user, switches. That's not me. But equally, it showed me where things could be. And, you know, I love tech. I love innovation. And that was really exciting. I was like a kid in a candy store holding a fold, holding the edge, holding the fold.
Yeah. It's
They
almost
just
a
looked at,
shame that we don't have an Apple counterpart, because that would excite the market itself. And Samsung would probably start being a bit braver again, even with the Fold.
They
I know
need one another, don't
they
they?
made a massive,
And the tech industry needs Apple to be good. That's
yeah,
the
otherwise
truth of it.
they'll just go, there's no challenge, so why make it better, right?
Exactly.
I could tell you who would be excited at Apple making a foldable, the Samsung's display division, because where do you think they're going to get
They
all those
double up.
foldable displays from, right? They'll go Samsung, Apple, we got the market sewed up. That'd be perfect.
There we go. Well, we've done our tech bit. We were going to get into our YouTube side of it, and Alex had a little kind of a story that's a perfect segue just before the pod. And this is a PSA, I think, for anybody running a channel out there.
Yeah.
Alex,
actually, Daniel mentioned the Samsung display. That was the other rant I was going to have, but I'll keep it very short. The display is a shame we don't have the anti-reflect. I mean, you can see here, right?
Yes,
like,
yes.
Such
I
a
saw
missed
somebody moan
opportunity.
about that. Yes,
in comparison to, you know,
S25 Ultra,
the S25 Ultra, which is like, oh my god. Yeah, but anyway, I had a bit of a scare this morning. Woke up, you know, as I do, check my emails, whatever, respond to a few before kind of getting the day started, and got this alert, which, you know, I normally get alerts when I'm signing up to devices and whatever. So during the day, so I know it was me. This one happened at like 3 a.m. UK time, and I was like, okay, what's this? No, I wasn't trying. My initial thought was, I bet it's one of these devices that I've got that's trying to sign into an app or whatever. But it was the email address that got me concerned, because it's an email address that I never shared with anyone or any service outside of YouTube. It's the one that I use for YouTube only. I have a backup. Sorry about that noise. I have a backup email that I use to manage YouTube in case that one gets compromised and whatever. But, you know, we all do. And it's all under two-factor authentication, very complex passwords managed by a password manager. You know, kind of, I can't even type it. It's that complicated. But yeah, someone somewhere got that password and tried to log on, and he failed because he needed the second factor authentication bit. But yeah, the fact that someone got that password got me really worried. And I know about a month ago, it's in the news, we got 16 billion passwords were leaked, and included like massive players like Microsoft or whatever. So I was really scared. For this morning, I spent like 3-4 hours just kind of changing passwords, making sure that everything is locked up, because, you know, it's the one thing that if you look, I mean, there's not a lot of monetary gain that someone would get from this, right? They wouldn't really gain anything unless they're like one of those bots that do like blockchain stuff or whatever. What's called Bitcoin sailing. You know, if they use my channel for that, maybe they'll get some money out of it, but they wouldn't get any money out of me. But it would be a huge loss for me, because it's like, you know, it's you know, it's my business. So yeah, I was scared, and I'm still kind of bricking it, as we say, because if they got to the password, which I never shared, or that email that I never shared or whatever, what else do they know? And having worked in this industry, you know, on the kind of corporate world of cybersecurity and whatever, yeah, there's a lot to be scared about. And so kind of, in a way, I wish I never knew what goes on, because there's something called the social engineering that people, you know, sometimes they get one account, but they stay for months, like gathering information and then amounting to a file that has everything on you. So yeah, it's scary to think that people are constantly trying to hack you, you know. And so yeah, just be careful. We're not sponsored by a password manager, so I won't mention any of it. But yeah, I use one of the good ones.
I don't know if you happen to remember, Alex, but I think it's before Daniel had joined us on the pod, and there was one podcast I said to you right at the end with this elation, I've been in contact by this leading water brand company, and you said,
yeah.
And you said, we were live on the podcast. Yes, I did, if you remember. And I said, yeah, I've done. And you just said, I think you've been done, mate. And for the rest of that podcast, I was trying to record as if there's nothing. And I was just shitting myself and then I was doing everything. And then suddenly, as you said, password changes, 2FA on everything. And I sit here during the day now, just wanting to go onto my bloody NAS, which is sitting under the desk, but I still have 2FA on it. everything now that I possibly can. 2FA, weird part. Well, I use a password manager too, clearly.
These attacks, the 2FA is not what's going to stop them, or
No.
But it's the social engineering part, that because AI is getting so good now, right? They can use what they know about you to trick you into clicking into something, and that's it. That bypasses everything, right? Once they're into your system, you're screwed. So I think, yeah, you just got to be extra vigilant, because even phishing emails now are getting so good, and text messages are getting so good. Usually, you know, before we used to get these really bad ones. Even the English was bad. Now it's like, it's so real. The only thing that's still not quite there is the email, right? So if you look at the source of the email, you go, okay, it's a weird domain address. But yeah,
I'm
logos,
really,
the right.
I'm getting really weird ones like Canva Pro, and they pretend to be NVIDIA, and you could look at their email and it's azet.sk. I'm like, you're not Canva. I'm on to you. And you just got to be really, really careful, because a new creator would look at that and go, wow, Canva wants to sponsor me. And they'll just
exactly.
straight in.
They
right?
found
and that's how I got called. Yeah. I thought, fine, I'm going to make some money. You know, I think it's why they didn't sponsor. I thought, yes, I'm getting paid. And
you're chatting to them, and then just click on this PDF, and then that's...
Yeah. Whereas now, like you said, Alex, everything, I'm looking at domains. The first time I see an email from anybody, it's like, okay, where's that come from? Click on nothing. And then are you getting all this, can we carry on WhatsApp? And it's like, no, I'm fine on email. I'm fine on email. Yeah. It's as you say, it's really murky waters, and just honestly, do take so much care. I mean, even banking now, I try not to do my banking on the Mac. I try to do it on my phone. I try to open as little sensitive stuff on the Mac as possible.
Reduce the coverage, as we say, the kind of the surface of attacks. Yeah, reduce it. Just
surface of attack. Yeah.
So that's a newsflash for everyone. If you want to hack David, go through his phone.
It's an iPhone, so it's not going to be that safe.
Just kidding. And we were going to talk a little bit about sort of up and downs, not lack of stability of views, and also the A/B testing. Daniel, you mentioned that just before we got recording, so chat to about that.
Something we've been asking for since they brought in the thumbnail A/B testing.
Yeah,
it just made no sense to just have thumbnails and no titles. Because you can put two different thumbnails up, and they need two different titles to sort of match. So it's welcome that they're now bringing, well, at least they're thinking about it, or whether it's started yet, I'm not sure. I haven't seen it go live in any of my videos that I've uploaded yet, but there's the option now to put in an alternate title. And sometimes you do have two good titles that you might think will work, as opposed to two good thumbnails. And sometimes it's just good. The title can be a good option to test, as opposed to just the thumbnail. I'm looking forward to it. I reckon I'll use this more than the thumbnail one.
And sometimes you want to be braver on the title, but you're a bit scared because you've only got one shot really. And you're kind of always scared. It's like, if I mess this up in the first day, then kind of the video is dead anyway. So there's not a lot of point changing. Sometimes, in the rare occasion that changing the title even weeks later will work, will get the video to kick in. But most of the time is like, oh man, I should have been braver. I should have been a little bit kind of closer to the clickbait, but not clickbait. With this, you might have a safe option and a little bit like, I'd love this. And then, we've been asking for this for a long time. I'm getting overexposed because the sun has decided to show up. Sorry about that.
And I know, Alex, you're a big user of the A/B testing on the thumbs. Daniel, where are you on that?
Yeah.
Haven't used it in probably about 6 months, I'd say.
I'm pretty much with you. I did one video. So question to you, Alex, and Daniel, I don't know what your thought is. My worry with it at the moment, Alex, is that you're potentially serving up a shitty thumbnail to a third of your audience.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what puts me off of using it. Does that not?
That's the other thing of the whole test that I think could be improved. So having the title to go with the thumbnail would be awesome. But I think we need more transparency as well, because they're obviously deciding. Sometimes it can take like 2-3 weeks for them to decide on the good one, but by which time your video is getting 20 views a day, right? So it's like, okay, what's the point of that? So I wish we have more control to make a decision quicker, to go, right, actually this one is getting way higher CTR, but we're not seeing the CTR. We're just seeing average watch time. Views. So yes, people clicking on this are watching for longer. Most of the cases, because we're not able to change the title. The thumbnails are variations of the same. They're not different, which is annoying, right? Because I like sometimes to have two of the same-ish and then a third one, which is completely different. So if I'm using two with my face on, the third one will have no face, it's just a product. But I want to be a little bit more creative. I don't mind spending the time in creating 3 separate thumbnails for every single video, which in fact is what I've been doing for over a year now. But I want it to be a little bit more something that I can control a bit more. So the moment you throw it out there, sometimes it's awesome, even just the thumbnail, because it will tell you very quickly if it's a popular video. It's almost like you're getting 60% on this one, so you can cut. You can say, right, stop the test, just go with this one from now on. So you can have that control just based on like the number of people who are watching for longer. But I want to see how many people are actually clicking, because there are videos. Let's say the iPhone launch day, right? The event, just whatever. The first iPhone video, that one I want to be able to say, within hours, what the good thumbnail is. At the moment, it's hard because there'll be 3, and sometimes they're like 30% each, and like, well, which one is the best? And in those situations, you may as well just pick, just throw a coin, flip a coin, and whatever, because they are getting the same performance across the board. So why test it?
Yeah, I mean, the titles I think is a great idea. Being able to is that rolling out across everybody? Did you say, Daniel? Can you use it yet? Or
it's the usual rollout, isn't it?
Rollout, yeah, bit by bit.
Creators at a time.
And then just to sort of round out, summer season can be odd views wise, and for the first time in ages, talking about weird things on the algo, I suddenly got served up Peter Lindgren's vlog last night, not his main channel, his vlog. I clicked on it because I was feeling slightly good because his thumbnails, I've let myself get fat. I thought, hey, bring that on. I'm happy to watch that. Let me hear Alex has vanished into the ether. I'm thinking that's a battery that's gone or it's overheated. So, Daniel, we're going to carry on chatting about this one. How are you finding views during the summer?
I'll probably be a bit of an anomaly here. I've been okay. I think probably last month pivoted back towards my core content,
which you said you were going to do.
When found some really good video ideas, like stop making these mistakes. And then I did one with the camera, stop making these mistakes with the camera. And I thought, well, how can I extend this out? And then I thought, stop making these mistakes with your phone. And both of those videos have gone past 100,000 already. And there's another one that I did about Camera Assistant, which is also approaching 100. So I've actually, because I went back to my sort of core, I've been doing okay this summer. I've actually went from only getting like 2 to 2,500 subs a month to now about 4 a month in the last 2 months. So I've done really well to sort of turn that.
You get unpacked in the summer as well, don't you? So that always helps. It gives you a little.
Yeah, it's been funny though. Like last year's Unpacked didn't help me, the Fold 6, because I got the devices late. I got everything late. Like the Fold 6 didn't arrive until like a month after Unpacked. Flip 6 was the same. Watch Ultra was the same. Buds 3 Pro was even later. So I was like, I missed that window where I could really turn the views over. And whereas this launch, the Fold 7 arrived 2 days after Unpacked. And then I've just put the foot down and just pumped out content to get that, and things that I know people want to see, like the Ultra comparison. I've got a Fold 6 comparison going live on Sunday. I've done like the Fold original comparison, which went live Wednesday night. So like I've really pushed the right content out, and I've done okay. I would say I've been all right.
Where are you at, Alex? How are you finding things? Volatile, stable, growth? I know you've hit 100K on the Brazil channel.
Yeah, growth has been good. I mean, considering I've done a few videos that are not for the benefit of the channel, right? So the opposite of what Daniel is doing.
Yeah.
Because, that there's a financial side of it that you got to fund. So I've had, even this week, I had to do a projector video, which it doesn't do anything for the channel, but funds the next 6 months of the studio rent,
Yeah.
So I think if I could do less of those and more integrations only, then awesome. Because then I can focus on content that works. I mean, I kind of proved to myself that when I do content that people want to see, if I do a comparison of any sort, I mean, my video, that's another kind of bit of big news. My first 1 million video happened yesterday.
Yeah, so yeah.
So it's nothing for, some big channels out there, but for me, it's awesome because,
hell yeah.
I never had anything. I mean, I think I had a 800K one, which is a SSD helping people.
How long ago was that video made? The one that's gone to 1 million?
3 months, exactly 3 months. So he's been growing, and it's still growing. And he brought, I think, 8,000 subs, something like that.
Oh, I remember that video. Yeah.
Yeah, a decent amount of cash as well for AdSense. I mean, it's like if every video was like that, I wouldn't need a sponsor.
What's the driver of that video? Is it search, or is it browse features, or is it external? Sometimes it can be a good mix of all three.
Yeah. This one I think is a good mix, but let me just have a quick look. If we have time, we'll probably put a screenshot of this. I shared this on Twitter, by the way, Alex G Tech. But the source for that one, scroll down. Can't believe it was 3 months ago. It feels like it was yesterday. I mean, the thing is, I think people appreciate hard work as well, because his browse feature 65%. Oh no, that's last 2 days. Let me just put it since upload. Same, a 65% browse, 20% search, and then the rest is suggested external.
Yeah, right. The browse features is good.
Nice,
that's continuing to show up in people's feed, and they're clicking on it. Like, that's a really good thing for the algorithm to do that.
He had 10 million impressions. So, for 1 million views, that's 10%, right?
Yeah.
That's insane. So it's still getting views. And sometimes it dwindles to below 10,000 views per 48 hours. And then you have a week that you just goes
heart bleed.
Oh man,
dwindles.
Yeah, I mean it carries the channel for. It has carried the channel for the. I mean, when I was in Brazil and seeing this video doing well, bringing subs and it was awesome. So I think that's there's the formula is there. I mean, if the problem is to make a video like that, I could only do once a month, and it'd be tricky. So you'd have to find the right partners and then to make sure that they pay the right amount. Because it's going to pop. Unless I went full time, right? Because then I'd have more time to edit. I mean, it took me 3 weeks to edit that video, and I think I had footage from 4 different countries in there. It was a lot of work, and it was very, I took my time with cinematic, we call it, right? Whatever, some shots in there that were like storytelling. I replaced like street signs with the chapters for the video. So there's little bits in there that was like, okay, it took me half an hour to do each of those 5-second clips, but people notice, people comment, people subscribe because of that. So there's a lot to be said, I think, on hero type content, having one of those every now and then that kind of elevates the channel a bit. But it's tricky that because the challenge is you've also got to make money. You've also got to
regular content and
to buy these devices. If I take a day off to go to London, for example, I won't say my day rate here, but I lose money for my other business and lose sleep as well, right? Because I then have to catch up with meetings that I didn't attend. I have to work late that day, catching up with emails that I didn't reply to. So there's all of those stuff that eventually means you've got to work harder to make more money. But eventually, the dream will be, I only do one thing, and YouTube will be that thing. But we're not far off. I think I'm kind of hoping by the end of this year. I mean, I admittedly, I was hoping this for a year ago at least, right? But once we hit 100K, it's kind of when you think, okay, I should be going full time. The reality is, it hasn't been like that, right? Because it's a vicious cycle that, for example, doing that projector video that I did yesterday, it hasn't got to 1,000 views yet on a channel that has 165,000 subscribers, 162. Not to not get 1,000 views in 24 hours is embarrassing, right? That there's no other, and it's pain. I mean, I worked hard on it as well, but the fact that I've done that kind of, and it pays for the rent for the next 6 months or whatever, it doesn't do much for the channel, because other sponsors will look at that and go, hang on, this
volatile views, you get that whole thing again.
Yeah, unless you do, what sometimes we're forced to do, and the brand is already kind of considering, do we want to promote this video?
It. Yeah.
And it's just like, that doesn't do anything for the channel either, right? Because you become I won't mention any names, but you become one of those channels that only do those things, that you get zero engagement across the board. Actually, a tip I discovered this week, brands use lots of tools, right? But one of the tools they use, some of them use anyway, is called Modash, Modash. And anyone can go in there and open a free account, and you can check any creator on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, and see how many fake followers they have. It's fascinating to see some other accounts in there. So on my Instagram, I've only got like 4,000 followers. 20% of them are bots. According to this tool, I never bought anyone. It's like, but it says that is average or below average. It's like, geez. So whether you like it or not, you're gonna have fake followers on Instagram. On YouTube, I'm not sure, but on TikTok they don't show that number. I guess we know why.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating to see that, because then you can see how brands are looking at your channel, and that there is a metric there called engagement, which you don't see that on YouTube. It's annoying that you don't see engagement as a metric, unless you go really deep and say how many comments and whatever. But they have like a percentage of engagement, and mine is above average for Instagram. Sorry, for YouTube, but average for Instagram. So yeah, it's good to kind of find out where you're not Modash, where you're doing good or where you're not. I mean, I did a Prime Day video that did nothing for the channel either, but still got 10,000 views. So I'm kind of, once it gets to 10K views, if it's an off-topic thing,
that's good.
As in for my channel, I'm good. But I took some risks this summer. Like I did a car video. I'm actually hiding that from public soon because it's doing nothing. Again.
You know which sort of products I've seen do really well on channels, like views pop off. Pool cleaners, man. Pool cleaners, like guaranteed.
I saw one of those last night. Yes, guaranteed. I saw one of those last night on a Mac channel. Yeah.
You'll be soaring. I don't know, just
20 comments, 500,000 views, amazing. Yeah.
Slept on products, I tell you.
Okay, I think we're done.
Yeah, on that bombshell.
Perfect. Yeah. Yes. So we will be back in a couple of weeks.
Pool cleaner.
And a house with a pool. Problem. Right, we will be back in a couple of weeks' time. The three of us will be back smiling in your face with more golden nuggets of information about running a channel and our latest thoughts on tech. So until then, thank you everyone for watching, viewing, commenting, and we'll be back with you in just 2 short weeks' time.
Thank you, guys.
Peace.